This week we check out Suzuki's new open-class sports machine, the GSX-R 1000. Suzuki's previous incarnation, King of the Gixxers, was no slouch, to be sure. Certainly leading the way in the horsepower category and winning the Open Sport Bike Series last season in our National Road Racing Championship. So how did Suzuki improve on last year's winning formula? Well, by using the tried and true, more power, less weight method. First, Suzuki upped the inline-4 power plant with a few hot rod engine tweaks and totally revised the fuel injection system. Then Suzuki engineers put the hopped-up engine on a diet and shaved 2 kilograms off its overall weight. Then, just for fun, trick new radial-mounted brakes were applied up front, along with a new DLC-coated fork and the stacked headlight array, something the smaller Gixxers have yet to adopt. So how does it all work? Well, let's just say Bridget Reynolds, a current Suzuki TL1000 owner, didn't want to hand over the keys after a couple of days with the GSX-R 1000.
How does this bike work for you in terms of its horsepower and its delivery of the horsepower?
You have to be quite careful with the throttle at first. Once I got used to that, it was a little scary for the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You have to have a lot of respect for this machine. Like I said, like nothing I've ever ridden before.
You've got a TL1000, right?
Yes.
So obviously we know how V-twins make power. They deliver a lot of torque. Does this thing kick you in the pants? Does it have a bump in the power band, or is it smooth in terms of it?
Smooth, linear power band, just amazing.
Yeah.
The first 5 minutes, like I said, I was on this bike. I couldn't believe I was revving at 6,000 in first gear, doing 75 kilometers an hour. And that's a far cry from my TL. I can maybe make it to the first stop sign in first gear before I got to switch.
Now, what about in terms of the suspension and how it handled? Did you find it's a big bike? I mean, physically big and heavy in terms of when you get into leader bikes, they tend to be a little bit on the heavy side. Is it still flickable and fun? Really
flickable. Feels like you're on a 600. So it was quite amazing to have this much power on a bike that's this light and compact.
Right.
Really turned into the corners well, really flickable. Much better, like I said, than anything I've ever ridden. Just amazing.
What about in terms of rider comfort? There's always the compromise that you make with a sport bike. Did you feel like it was uncomfortable?
No, not really. I was comfortable coming from Toronto, so I've been riding this bike for 5 or 6 hours today.
Yeah.
It was very comfortable. Of course, you're leaning on your wrists, like you are with all sport bikes, so it's a little bit of an aggressive riding position.
What about the layout of the cockpit, the mirrors, the controls? Are they user-friendly?
Very user-friendly. I really like the digital speedometer. The mirrors I found shake a little bit when you're on the highway. So, on a bike like this, as fast as you can conceivably travel on this bike, you really want to be able to see behind you for those flashing lights. And I had a little bit of trouble seeing the cars behind me because the mirrors were shaking. I love the paint job. I think it's very interesting that they did orange and black, and I've had some good comments riding this around the city for the last few days. Everyone seemed to like it, and I love the new stacked headlight in the front. I really like what they did with the front end.
So who do you think a potential owner, who should go looking at a bike like this?
I'd say someone who's got quite a bit of experience on a sport bike. You've really got to be constant on the throttle, good with the brakes. I think you require a bit of skill. I've got quite a bit of track time under my belt now, so I'm used to riding different bikes at high speeds, cornering.
So when do you have to return this bike to Suzuki?
On Tuesday.
Are you going to make it?
Yeah. Well, they said Monday or Tuesday, so it'll be Tuesday.
Tuesday at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bridget. That was great.
Thanks a lot.